And yeah, going to be an interesting match, and both of them with pretty nice outfits here today.
Yeah, RayAllen did not wear the glasses for about 3 weeks in Team Story at one point, and he did terribly in those 3 weeks.
Right.
So I think that was it. I think that was just like he's never taking them off again. Um,
So yeah,
as we s-
just to recap or talk about that for a little bit, we cast the Hearthstone Team Store for a long time. Basically 13 out of the 14 weeks there. And Ray Allen was one of the best players. He was in consideration for MVP. Doesn't really have any individual accomplishments, but just subjectively in our eyes, he's a very good player. So we'll see how this turns out.
and it does actually look like he's playing Patron there, from what we can see. It's not certain, but it looks pretty likely.
Right, most likely going to be. I mean, the inner age is. It's really hard
Yeah,
to find inner age in Control Warrior, but I mean, other than the wild growth into the Shredder, Libo's hand's not looking that great. Honestly, he's gonna need to pick up a minion pretty quickly here.
yeah. These hands often look like they're really good because you've got the combo and a chance to win, but you've got to do that other 16 damage somehow, and you do that by occupying the board. And if you can't occupy the board, which is really you haven't got a card in your hand that occupies the board, you're going to need to top deck one of his 7 drops or something like that to be able to put something big on the board and keep it. Otherwise, the patron will just tempo you out.
Right. As Ray Allen here, do you use your inner rage right now to take out this Blood Raider? I mean, you could, and your Armor Smith would still retain 1 health. It would be a 3-1 at the end of it. Do you commit to that? So the thing is, if your opponent has nothing, then you're basically giving him a turn, right? You're allowing your opponent to kill off the Armor Smith. The other thing to consider is that inner rage can be very useful if there is a pickup of a Grim Patron in the next couple of turns.
Yeah, I don't think you do because one of your win conditions is to make 4 patrons in a turn.
Right.
And so by holding here, if he does pick up a patron, he can just instantly make 4 patrons as the
Exactly.
attack as well shows. So I think you just wait. Obviously, with the ghoul, it becomes a bit more tempting because you don't need more than 4 patrons. 4 is plenty.
Exactly.
But
Right.
yeah, and especially now where you've got other ways to win as well. So the druid used to be able to run the patron out of cards if it could deal with the patrons, and that was about it really.
The Frothing
The frog
Berserkers as
things,
well.
that was it.
Yeah.
But now, if it runs you out of those, you've still got Grom, you've still got even a 5/5 Lotheb, you've got possibly Boom, you've got things that can carry on the beating.
Exactly, and that basically explains what you just said right now. Why this matchup has turned from essentially even people thought that Patron was way too strong, but Druid was one of the classes that kind of competed with it. But now it's gotten to a point where Patron is basically favored, and for the reasons that you have the mid-range minions to carry you through if you don't draw completely dead and don't get those patrons. And the only problem for Ray Allen, though, here is that the only real card that he has in his hand right now that is not part of the old patron, arsenal is that Lotheb, and he hasn't been able to play that quite yet.
Yeah, and both of them actually got terrible hands here. They must both be thinking, "What have I done to deserve this?" First thing in the last 16, but they've both got a really awkward situation. The one who works out their opponent has got a bad hand first may have a really good chance here. The one who's willing to just go for it and maybe take a chance they shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And as a druid, you're the one who probably takes that chance because you kind of have to anyway.
Right. I mean, there's so much aggression possible to come out of LiBo here. I mean, he could go for a combo as early as next turn, which we see would not be lethal, but it would be somewhat close. Or he could wait until turn 10 to go for double combo, but at that point, you'd probably need to be, picking up a minion for every single turn from now until then.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what to do because in his mind he may want to save that to clear a bunch of patrons, especially as he's seeing this weapon stood on 1 toughness, which is usually a sign the patrons are on the way. Although turn 5, nothing happening in this board is probably a clue that that's not coming, as he would be able to, Alan would be able to make 4 patrons from what we can see, let alone
Right.
So
From
this will
LiBo's
be the indicator.
From LiBo's perspective, though, maybe he thinks that there could be a patron but no inner rage, for instance. I mean, it would be kind of a risky play to just play out 1 patron and make 2, especially with the Shade already on board. 1 Wrath by itself kind of takes care of it. So but now that he's swinging, it's looking definitely like he doesn't have the patron in hand. However, this does get rid of the Blood Raider, so that makes this Unseeable Ghoul a bit harder to take care of.
And again, from Ray Allen's point of view here, just making sure there's not many things on the board. He knows that the druid needs that board. His hand can look after it with Lotheb coming down probably on turn 9 if it's looking bad, or later if not. Or if he needs the board, he may play it as well. He's got the weapon to clear up any bits and pieces.
So this
And
is a
so,
funny. Sorry to cut you off there. This is kind of a funny turn from LiBo, right? Because he could just Wrath the Acolyte here, but he's essentially kind of playing like a Cold Light Oracle, or I guess a Grove Tender, right? He's giving both players cards here because now he's allowing his Acolyte to draw even more, which is kind of interesting.
yeah, especially as traditionally it's the patron who needs the cards more. But
Kind of. I
LiBo
mean, looking
working
at
out,
LiBo's hand, he really kind of needs
yeah,
some
he
cards.
knows it. Nobody needs cards more than him right now with this hand, right? And he's actually got turn 11 crazy combo here, by the way. If he just keeps his stealth,
Right.
if he's got turn 11 double combo, right?
Or
If he
turn
could-
10.
Turn 10 double combo. I don't know why I said 11 because I'm adding up 11. Yeah, he's got turn 10 double combo.
He has to
So
wait
if
until
keeps his
after he
stealth-
has. He has to wait until after he has 10 mana, and then just for good measure, right? Just to go wait till next turn. But looks like it's just gonna be a kill onto the Shade right now. RayAllen doesn't really want to deal with it anymore, so just gonna go ahead and play out that Whirlwind. In the meantime, get his Frothing Berserker nice and big, and just gonna smack the face. He has a couple of Fire War Axes. At some point, you might as well just put the pressure on. Finally comes the Ancient Allure for LiBo. He's been looking for this for a long time, but it might be a bit too late.
Yeah, he's going to have to draw something he can innovate out, which limits it to almost precisely the other shade.
Ooh, that's a nice.
That's
card,
two. That's two great cards though, because that allows him to play Thaurissan into double combo.
Exactly. Wow, Battle Rage is an excellent card to get here, but looks like it's RayAllen's gonna opt to just go for the execute here using that Inner Rage, and this Frothing Berserker still isn't big enough to beat GH, unfortunately for LiBo's sake. And now Lothab hitting the field, probably gonna see him swing with the axe too. Yep, there we go. So now RayAllen is threatening lethal.
Yep, and he's played this really well because he's been alert to the fact that double combo is one of the things that can beat him for the whole, like the last 2 turns anyway.
Right.
He's kept everything that could possibly go wrong off the field. And this is what we were talking about earlier, is the strength of the patron. Now he's drawn basically nothing this game.
And
He hasn't drawn any of the big minions, he hasn't drawn the patrons, and he's winning anyway.
Yeah, and that's going to be game right there. Perfect amount of damage coming out from RayAllen. Could even Battle Rage if he wanted to draw into any more. But yeah, really well played by RayAllen there. I mean, it's a sign of a really good player when they can take a situation that's awkward, that doesn't make any sense to them, where both players just have poor hands and, just an unconventional victories. Again, that's just like a sign of someone who's really good when they can turn something, a game that, isn't traditional and find a way to win anyway.
Right, especially when you're playing a tournament, when you're playing, there are players who can do it on ladder because they've played one deck for 9 months or something. But when you're playing a tournament, these guys don't get to play the same deck over and over and over. They have to play several decks. So yeah, these good players pick up a deck, learn how to use it, and adapt to the situation.
Exactly. And I mean, I think from LiBo's point of view, there could have been things here and there he could have used to kind of alleviate the situation a bit. Maybe use that Roar, maybe use the Force, because it's kind of hard to stick to a situation saying, okay, I'm going to play out the right side of my hand for the next 5 turns and then double combo him. And by doing so, he basically gave information to RayAllen, right? RayAllen the entire time was saying, okay, you're playing off the right side of your hand every single time. That 100% has to be combo. It could even be double combo.
Yeah, and it's not often you can play around double combo, but that was a situation where you definitely could. And RayAllen busting out the priest now probably wasn't expecting the druid to come straight back.
Still a pretty good situation though for him, because he has that Northshire Cleric into the coin and Valen's Chosen.
Yeah, and the curator for any desperation. You've got the taunt in the sludge. It's pretty much as close to a perfect hand as you can realistically hope for.
Wow, well, Black
Knight.
Black Knight says, if you ever play that Sludge Squelcher, I'm going to take it out. But, yeah, imagine just going to be the Museum Curator. No reason to coin it the Valen's Chosen right now. It just gets silenced. What do you pick here? You could go for the Nubasath, but it's a bit risky, particularly in the face of that Keeper of the Grove. But, yeah, we're just going to see a Shredder here, it looks like. And that's going to be taken out probably by this Northshire Cleric. Though you could see maybe the buff go onto the Museum Curator, that would go to...
Might play the Harvest Golem to try and bait out the Keeper. That might be why he chose to keep it there.
Well, he doesn't want his Northshire Cleric to die for free is the problem here, right? So I mean, he picked the Harvest Golem probably to be able to play it this turn if nothing came out of his
But
opponent.
now we have the 4/3. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, losing your Northshire Cleric for free, in certain situations, you're fine with it because you're
No,
allowing
sure.
a bigger minion to survive. But Harvest Golem isn't really that, valuable right now. So right now he's prioritizing, I think, keeping his Northshire Cleric alive, which means he might put the buff on Northshire Cleric. It will also mean that it probably gets silenced, depending on what happens here. Although it could just be a kill,
But
but
that's
we'll
that's
see.
also fine. Just getting silenced is not fine. But
Ooh. Wow,
um,
the owl came out. That is absolutely huge here because if it was something like a 3-2, then it just kills off the Northshire Cleric
mhm.
and Libo's on his merry way. In fact, he could have just, killed off the Northshire Cleric and played this Ancient Lord. Looks like he's going to do that anyway here.
What do you make of this Black Knight, by the way? I don't think there's that much taunt in the format right now. What would you think that's in there for?
Well, there's a bit of taunts, right? I mean, if you're not playing super aggressive decks, you're typically going to run some sort of taunt. And I mean, for instance, if you ever run into a Druid versus Druid matchup, that can be
Hmm.
very vital. And as we've said, many times before, if you can win the Druid mirror, then you're on your way to basically taking the series.
Yeah, because in Last Hero Standing, obviously, sorry, in Conquest, obviously, you build your lineups that way, and so the Druid then has to battle through quite often unfavorable matchups.
Exactly. And you can see kind of in his lineup, right? It looks somewhat, anti-Druid. But yeah, we see a pretty good turn here from RayAllen, being able to take out this Ancient of Lore. There's a Lothar, by the way, but, LiBo is just in a really uncomfortable spot. He has to use this Keeper of the Grove to take out the Northshire Cleric. However, we do see that the next couple of turns look pretty good for him, right? Because RayAllen doesn't have anything to do but to play the Such Belcher, and when he does, it's going to get Black Knighted.
Yeah, being that extra mana in front just adds up so fast in this game. It's like it's not an advantage you notice as such when you're watching sometimes, and suddenly you realize, hang on, this guy's got all these things on the board. Where have they come from? And
Right.
it's just that extra mana every single turn hammering away at you.
You see the
And this is
nod from LiBo. He's like, "That's what I've been waiting for."
yeah,
And here it comes, the Black Knight. Can't really see RayAllen's reaction behind those sunglasses, unfortunately. Going to be Living Roots as well to take out the Northshire Cleric here. And yeah, in one fell swoop, LiBo has taken control of the board. Let's see if something like a Cabal is picked up here. Could just play the Sylvanas, since doesn't have that right now.
that is an interesting point you make about the fact that LiBo's lineup is pretty anti-druid. If you've got the druid Black Knight, like you've said, in Conquest you can pick on a deck. And that's what I think that's probably what he's done here. He's probably just gone, well, everyone's playing Druid, let's pick on the Druid. And he's been a bit unfortunate that RayAllen didn't bring a Druid. So,
Right.
because, yeah, this lineup would go through Druid pretty hard, I think. Anyway, always interesting here because the Druid looks like a big favourite from this position, but Priest can turn these games around so fast with just, one really good turn. And
Yeah, this is nice for LiBo though, because I mean the one turn that you mentioned is that light bomb, right? The light bomb just takes out everything, and it's just a completely crazy turn, especially if the Druid is trying to build up a board. But now you see RayAllen having to deal with this Doctor Boom with one light bomb, and that's basically just showing you the how good Doctor Boom is because you're using such a premium removal on just one minion.
yeah, and you're still taking an average of sort of 5-ish to the face, and on top of you're only trading at 1 mana to hit yourself in the face for 5.
I think
And
it's
that's
Cabal
the
or Bust
best
here, by
chance.
the way.
Yeah,
Yeah, because he needs to get stuff off
that
the
would make
board.
sense.
So there's actually not quite. There's exactly 27 damage. Because the Lothar would go to 21, and then there's an extra 6 from the Shredder. That's basically just Druid math, right? You just like
Yeah,
five cost minion or 5 attack minion, on the board, and that's 21, and then you add up the other stuff.
yeah.
But yeah, so 27 damage possible here for LiBo. It's getting really scary for RayAllen here, and just this minion size difference is pretty stark right now.
Yeah, unless he gets maybe second light bomb or even Cabal doesn't seem to do it now.
I think
We might be
Valen.
in.
It has to be Valen's, right? Because Valen's plus Holy Nova with the 3 damage on everything would be kind of nice in this situation.
We might be in Doomsayer off the Shredder territory.
Right. It could be the case.
It's that bad right now. I think it all depends exactly how much damage just decides to go face here, but this is just looking horrific for RayAllen.
Hmm.
And see what he gets.
Valens might be okay here though, and Entomb. Well, you can't Holy Nova Entomb, unfortunately.
So you have to hit the shredder and then tomb and hope the shredder thing is small.
You could also
You can stop playing around combo and
you could Holy Nova and then kill whatever 2-drop comes out with your Zombie Chow, and then heal your Zombie Chow, and then you have 1 mana left. Okay, never mind.
You can heal your opponent's shredder and just go all in.
Right, that is something. Yeah, you heal your opponent's shredder and then pray for another light bomb, which you're probably running 2 light bombs in this sort of control priest. But
that might be the play actually.
Right.
But we can see the combo. In his mind, it doesn't have to be combo in hand. It might just be one part of combo. And there comes a point where you say, "Well, I can't really realistically beat combo now without a series of crazy events."
Okay, he could still get something really small off the shredder, like maybe a Laura Control or something. That's pretty small. How much damage is that? That's exactly 24, unfortunately. So yeah, wasn't small enough. Had to be 0 attack.
But he didn't panic there. He went with okay, my odds of winning this if he has combo are so small that I'm going to play as if he hasn't got it all, and just try and play board control. And the games where my opponent doesn't have the combo, maybe I can get back into it. But the games where he has, I've lost it anyway. So let's not go for the 1,000,000 to 1 shot and do this. Heal my opponent's thing into Light Bomb into Doomsay. Let's just play Hearthstone and hope he hasn't got it.
Let's just play Hearthstone, guys. Sounds like a good plan. Well, to be fair, I mean, we've seen Druid take out Patron Warrior in the past. So being able to first get that win from RayAllen and then, losing with the Priest, it could have gone either way. Maybe the Druid takes the win and then the Priest gets the win against something else. So, I mean, I think RayAllen's perfectly fine with his result right now. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit difficult going forward. You would have liked to get that win because maybe you can pick up a win later since that Druid is now gone. But we do have Shaman and Paladin for LiBo and Hunter and Priest for RayAllen here. So let's see which player can take advantage.
I'm looking forward to seeing if there's a Shaman versus Hunter match because that matchup fascinates me. Just because of the weirdness of it. It's like aggro versus aggro, but there's a hell of a lot of stuff goes on in that match as well.
Right.
We see Secret Paladin versus Priest.
Right, and this is not the greatest for RayAllen because this is going to happen. It's going to be this Night Juggler coming out right away, unfortunately. Kind of a tough decision there for RayAllen. If it was anything other than Night Juggler, which you don't necessarily keep in your opening hand, and I mean, if you had Minibot and you had something else, you'd probably keep those cards, and the Night Juggler would be just potentially a welcome addition. But right now, it's just not working out too well for RayAllen in this situation.
Yeah, you don't keep in your opening hand because it dies to Zombie Chow. It dies to many other priestly things as well, but particularly Zombie Chow.
Speaking of Zombie Chow, RayAllen wishes he could have played that turn 1.
Yeah, of course, right? He'd be in such a great spot right now. And this is a weird matchup because you'd instinctively think that it should favour the priest, but actually when it plays out, the Secret Paladin usually finds a way to sneak over the finish line without this amazing start. And with this amazing start, it's definitely a bad spot for RayAllen now.
Yeah, the biggest thing in this matchup are the board clears from the priest, whether you can get the Alkanized Circle and or the Light Bombs, and you typically need 2 of them, right? If you can manage to get 2 of them, then you're in a good spot. You can use it when you need to. Looks like there's a bit of a glitch or something in the game right now. As you can see, the stream is starting to have connection issues as well, so everything's being difficult here. Looks like both the stream and the game are kind of back online here. And a knife hitting face is kind of important, because if it had hit the Zombie Chow, it might have been easier to kill it off. But yeah, this Zombie Chow is still in business, and I can't really see. Well, okay, it is a 4/7, so maybe you have to trade your Knife Juggler into it.
I don't think you bother because next turn you've got the blessing onto your mini bot. So you might as well. I suppose
Right,
you don't
but
want.
right, but if you hit the face here, then the priest heals,
Then
and
the priest gets a
sometimes
freebie.
sometimes the priest doesn't have anything to do anyway. By the way, so the priest heals, kills the guy, and now you're blessing your mini bot, and you have to kill these Amajo anyway.
Yeah, okay. It's pretty tight because 6 is a lot of damage in this. You do need to get the priest
Right,
out. Okay, he's gone for the clear. Fair enough.
and the thing is also if there's a circle of healing, you get completely wiped out of the game there, so
Yes.
that's a bit of a problem.
So what you're saying, you need 2 AoEs in this match,
Well,
and the reason for that is basically, as I understand it, the first wave of stuff needs to be cleared, and it's just on the wrong turn numbers for the priest. Like the
mhm,
secret paladin is going into turn 6 a lot of the time after a nova or a light bomb,
right.
so
You
then you
don't
have to do it again.
You don't always need to, but a lot of times you need to.
Yeah, it's
The unless the paladin doesn't have the greatest start, or for instance, right here you can kind of neutralize his threat with a Shadow Word Death, and then from there, you can take care of a board later with the light bomb. Basically, you need to answer two big threats or two big or two threatening board positions twice,
yeah,
right?
because you get the small build up at the start, and then you get the mysterious challenger nonsense
Right.
sort of later, which we haven't seen yet for Lebo, but no doubt it will turn up about turn 6. That's when he tends to turn up and talk business.
Hmm.
And this is a really good board position now for Lebo, though.
Right, having this.
Always reticent to play this Belcher, right? Because if it gets stolen, you kind of lose.
Yeah, but right now it's very hard to kill. You need to both buff your museum character and play a Cabal, which doesn't really make any sense right now.
Hmm.
So this Holy Nova, by the way, will do 3 damage, and it will kill out this. I think you just have to Holy Nova right here. There's nothing else really to do. Whoa. Um,
Yeah, and you end up with less and less things to target with your Nova anyway, as the Paladin goes through the motions of the bigger stuff later.
mhm.
So now
Well,
seems a good spot for it.
I mean, I feel like there's always gonna be a decent Nova turn, but right now you kind of have to use it, or else you're taking way too much damage, and then your board position is compromised as well by the Sledge Belcher. So I think it's definitely worth it to do
What we
so.
haven't mentioned, by the way, is this Paladin build is kind of strange with double Belcher and double Blessing. I wonder if he's cut down. Oh, I was going to say, I wonder if he's cut down a secret or two, but the secret keeper says no to that, quite likely. Although she is really good in the mirror, so.
Right. There was one player I can't remember for the life of me who it was, but I mentioned this yesterday as well. That player played double Zombie Chow plus basically a mid-rangey type build of the Secret Paladin, and worked out for that player. I don't think it was Libo though, but in any case, we see the Thought Seal come in the hand of RayAllen. He might just have to bite the bullet and take this 1-1 here though. Yeah, looks like it's gonna go be that.
Yeah, one thing that's tempting as Priest is to be overly greedy when you can just make a play that's not that bad. You get a 4-5 and a 1-1, kill a 1-1 for 6 mana. That adds up over time.
The funny thing here is that, Libo hasn't really been pushing that much damage to face, but he's been making trades that, end up being awkward for the Priest player in RayAllen. And by doing so, he's actually gotten kind of card advantage by this point.
Yeah, like you don't associate the Paladin with it being the deck that gets the card advantage, but unless it plays a challenger, of course, which is like inherent card advantage and the point of the deck. But yeah, like you say, he's been making RayAllen making efficient trades, and it's added up over the course of the game, and suddenly we see him in this really good spot, resisting the urge there to play Tyrion or Boom, and just making sure he keeps hold of the board.
Look at this board, by the way. It's just like playing Arena. Everything's just at very low health on the side of Libo. Just, value trades every single time. Will there be an AoE? Nope, just a Shadow Word Death, which you definitely don't want to use on this turn.
And actually, this board state was quite cleverly set up because he's seen the Nova,
Right.
and so there's a good chance that the next AoE is the Light Bomb. And really, this board state isn't one that you mind losing to Light Bomb when you have Tyrion and Boom in hand.
Mm-hmm.
So that was nicely set up there. I mean, as it happens, there's no Light Bomb, so he's going to be even happier. But sort of, this almost demands a Light Bomb or some sort of AoE, and he's going to find out now that there isn't any there.
Right. I mean, this is just really bad for RayAllen because he kind of needs to play this Swamp Ooze and cross his fingers, but he can't. Because there's a Tyrion right now, and death into the Shadow Word Death into the Swamp Ooze would be a very good response to that Tyrion. But Yeah, let's look at LiBo's face. He's obviously pretty happy about what's happening so far.
Yeah, yeah, RayAllen just trying to work out not only like how do I get out of this, but how do I actually win the game if I get out of it. In this sort of position, you've got to work out, how much do I have to give up to just not die. And yeah, it's just rough.
Right.
And LiBo's going to have the luxury now of actually being able to keep stuff back if he wants. Obviously, probably just going to get Tyrion down because that.
I mean,
Assuming
it's
that
perfect,
RayAllen
right?
can clear, which he can't, then the Tyrion's going to win the game. He may be tempted not to play Tyrion because he may not want to have this on the Ashbringer. That's how far in front he is.
Well, you would have to have, perfectly the Shadow Word Death and the Ashbringer. Usually, you don't really run Harrison in the priest. You don't have the room for it essentially, and that's why you
No,
see the
sure.
easier.
Just thinking you're in that situation where you're so far in front, you play around like everything that could kill you, because he's just how do you lose from this position? But if you play the Tyrion, there are things that you could possibly lose to.
Right.
That's all I mean by that. And yeah, it's now he knows he can just do what he likes.
So yeah, he's seen that death. I mean, there's nothing in the end of RayAllen, like you said, and yep, LiBo just has the board here. It's looking very, very bad for RayAllen.
First, right?
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, he got there. He was going to play the Tyrion before the Shredder. Again, we're talking about playing around tiny percentage fails. Like, you don't want to play this and then get your Tyrion doomsayed.
Right. Yeah,
so
and
if you're going to lose your Shredder,
mana rate doesn't really matter here, right? So that definitely makes sense. But it looks like he's not even going to kill it. So just going to go ahead and throw everything else into the Sludge Belcher. So it looks like there's a 12.5% chance of getting Entomb here, which
so 16 cards left.
Right, it would be nice. However, there's still a decent amount of damage on the board. He's gonna have to draw cards with this Northshire Cleric, and this game basically turned on the very first turn if you think about it, because you need that card draw from the priest, and there's no real way to chain cards into more cards in the mid game if you don't have anything left.
Yeah.
And basically, right in the beginning, when that Knife Juggler took out that Northshire Cleric before it could get Valen's chosen, that's where this all snowballed.
And the weakness of Secret Paladin is the secrets. The deck's got secrets in it that slow it down. It draws garbage-ish cards that aren't particularly effective. I don't think he's drawn any.
Right.
I don't think we've seen. Maybe we saw one, but so when your deck doesn't draw the secrets, then you're going to have good draws.
Well, we just see LiBo putting the final touches on this. Even if there's a light bomb, it doesn't matter at this point. And that's basically what RayAllen's been looking for. Cabal Shadow Priest comes in the hand. That's not going to save him, no matter what he does. Going to draw a card first, I suppose, and see if he can pick up the light bomb, which he does. But again, I don't think it matters. Once he does this, the Slime and the Haunted Creeper will survive. So will the Keeper of Alderaan. There will be an Ashbringer on the field. One of these is coming back. Another one's going to get avenged. So yeah, everything, it just doesn't really matter. Even Light Bomb doesn't matter. That's when you know you're pretty far behind, when even Light Bomb doesn't matter.
Yeah, and you can't do anything next turn, even if you're alive, which you're not. It's just 2-1.
And by the way, giving away that you have the Light Bomb, I think he's shown. I don't think he showed 2 Light Bombs in that game.
No,
but,
he hadn't shown them both, so it's not showing any information. I was onto that one.
But you more or less know that it's going to be in the deck, so you're not giving away too much in that situation. In any case, LiBo is 1 game away from pulling off the upset. He is up 2-1 over RayAllen. Although, to be fair, I guess if you go by past accomplishments, it wouldn't be really called an upset, but just based on recent play, and as far as your opinion and my opinion, this would be, I feel like, an upset.
Yeah, I agree entirely. I've got RayAllen down as one of the best players when he hasn't won anything is always a bit dangerous. But at least one of the very best up-and-coming players.
Right.
From what we've seen, he seems calm, he's collected, he plays well, and at least calling the best up-and-comer or something. But yeah, I think he's one of the best players, to be absolutely fair. So just got to find a win with this Shaman, though, for LiBo to cause the upset. And Shaman's one of those decks that can sometimes just win.
Sometimes. I don't know about sometimes. I think it's all all the time. Anyway, but Libo's not going to go with the Abuse Sergeant on turn 1. Instead, it's going to be this Totem Golem. And this time, RayAllen has multiple answers for this. He could go with the Shower Pain. He could go for the Coin into Valen's Chosen. There's just many things he could do here. And it looks like that's going to be the case. And I mean, Shaman wins a lot, but I don't think it's going to win this game. We already see the Ooze in hand. We already see RayAllen taking control of the board here.
Yeah, and we have seen players lose from this sort of position, but I don't think RayAllen's going to manage it.
Very difficult to lose from this position.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to find a way to lose from this position. He may do. What could happen then? So the Doomhammer is a thing. It can get buffed. So let's call that Doomhammer 10.
Yeah, he has to buff it right away. He can't just play it out. So there's going to be a silence onto the Dooms here because it was too scary for, obviously, LiBo to deal with. Unfortunately, that takes away the healing of it. But yeah, there's just going to be, buffs onto this. Going to take it out. No big deal.
Oh, yeah, now we've got the 2/8.
Right.
Which, if there was any sort of comeback, that kind of ruins it.
And the funny thing about silencing that guy, if you were to silence it, is that now you just have a 2/8 for 3 mana, which is excellent value.
Yeah, sure, especially against a deck where everything's got a toughness of sort of 1 or 3. I mean,
right.
You just kill off all the... And totems, right? I'm a totem eater. So...
Alright, so Light Bomb comes in the hand. It's not actually that great against Shaman. Typically, you want to be healing as much as possible, if not, developing the board, and Light Bomb... I mean, there's typically not that many minions on the side of Shaman. Anyway, you'd rather have Holy Nova, but just saying that things haven't gotten even better for RayAllen. They're kind of as good as they were last turn, which is to say that LiBo is still in an uphill battle.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out how anything goes.
Okay, he's gonna go actually for.
Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah, I guess that makes
sense.
sense.
You've got 5 cards, he's got 3. If you can 1-for-1 the recurring damage, you might as well have 6.
Ooh, the Doomhammer comes out before the Rockbiter, and this is going to be
that's
really painful.
And I mean, RayAllen's controlling this board and finding time to heal.
Exactly.
One of the ways the Shaman can luck box a victory is by... Yeah, you're not taking care of your life total, and suddenly the Shaman finds a way to do 15 in a turn or something.
Right.
But RayAllen's even having time just to heal if he wants as well this game. So
to be fair, LiBo, I mean, he's not that close to running out of cards here. He's kind of close, but not that. I mean, he has a couple more turns here playing out his hand.
Yeah, I mean, an Ancestral Knowledge into something could do a lot of damage in one turn. Mm-hmm. Even here. But again, RayAllen's going to get to Holy Nova, again managing to heal himself, and...
Right. And that's just going to be conceded. There's
LiBo's
no possible way for LiBo. No reason to, hurt yourself and basically be masochistic there. Just go ahead and concede the game. When we are going to a game 5 here, it's going to be the Shaman versus the Hunter. And for RayAllen's sake, I hope it's a Face Hunter.
Yep. If it's not a Face Hunter, it's pretty hard work. If it is a Face Hunter, it's still... I think, personally, it's favoured for the Shaman, but it's really, really... It's one of those matches that you've talked about where a lot of the time it's skill intensive and sometimes it's just who draws the best.
Right.
But on the times where it isn't who draws the best, there's a lot of hard work and numbers involved.
Yeah, in the early game, the draws are very important, and if the draws are even, typically the better player wins. But if one player can basically just win it with the early draws, which is sometimes unfortunate, but it makes for some interesting fireworks.
Yep. You'd rather be on the side of the Shaman, yeah?
I haven't seen this matchup too often lately. As we see a Hunter's Mark, which once upon a time was only run in mid-range, but
that was
now
a freezing trap as well, though, right? And RayAllen does play mid-range.
We usually saw Face Hunter in the Hearthstone team story, and really, other than the freezing trap and freezing trap can be played in Face Hunter, so can Hunter's Mark,
mm-hmm.
And we see the Owl as well, which is typically a Face Hunter trademark, right? And by the way, you don't see both usually, but yeah, things have been played around a bit. Apparently, with RayAllen here, there's nothing really indicative of either deck, to be honest. And yeah, still that Mad Scientist, nothing to indicate either actually at this point still, but. Yeah, looking.
Yeah, it's like that's so. I always find it amusing that we talk about a totally different deck because that's what mid-range Hunter and Face Hunter are really, and yet you still don't know after 5 or 6 cards sometimes which one's which. And not just in Hunter as well, in other things like Patron Warrior versus Control Warrior as well. Sometimes it
Right.
takes a while to know what's actually going on.
Exactly. So we might see a freezing trap here, and yes, it is. So that's exactly why Ray Allen decided to go with that mad science right there. Really wanted to have that tempo right away. And now that Totem Golem, it's going to be a while before it's played again.
Yeah, and it's going to overload again as well. So that's a lot of mana. You added 2 to the cost. It's overloaded once already. It's going to do it
Ooh.
again. That's
Huh.
quite a lot of stuff.
Lotheb comes into the hand of Ray Allen. And so it could be maybe a hybrid. We're still trying to figure out what this is, but regardless of what it is, he's not in that bad of a spot.
Yeah, one thing that Shaman's not good at doing, because it's too busy hitting you in the face, is clearing wide boards like this one's going to be.
Right.
The Knife Juggler is a thing that can deal with that, but RayAllen can choose to silence that if he thinks it's too big a problem, or he can just go with Lotheb. Oh, okay, now he's got the weapon as well. He can do what he likes.
Right, but what do you do here? Because you have a few decent plays, right, but nothing too spectacular. If you go with a bow, you're not really doing much else other than maybe hero powering or maybe just throwing your owl on the board. You could go for Unleash the Hounds, but again, it's the same exact thing as going for the bow as far as that's concerned. If you don't use Unleash the Hounds now, when will you use the Unleash the Hounds?
I think he may be counting his owl targets here in this deck. I don't think there are many, so he may just decide to owl the Knife Juggler, proc the spiders to get the extra minions on board, because Shamans don't have Lightning Storm like ever, basically, now.
Yeah, you very occasionally see it. I know, for instance, Faramir is an advocate of it, but yeah, typically not going to be the case. And we see going to be actually an actual clear on the board, so it's going to be an interesting race right now, because there's a lot of damage in LiBo's hand, but obviously currently RayAllen has the board.
And I feel that this 3/4 might be too sort of cumbersome here. It's not the best way to. Oh wow!
Yeah,
especially
the
now.
Houndmaster is very good here, and yeah, unless LiBo starts killing these 1/1s with, I don't know, crackles or something, they can basically tag out Totem Golem on the backside. So looking pretty good here for RayAllen. Pretty normal going for the lightning bolt here as well as the crackle.
Yeah, and Shaman, when it starts having to burn its direct damage on minions, and it's by no means over, but it tends to be bad.
Right.
Because it needs that stuff to hit you in the face with, because its minion repeated damage is really kind of
Ooh, Dr. Boom, right on 7, right on time. And sorry to cut you off there, but that was, wow, okay. There is a way to take out Dr. Boom here, but again, you're missing out on a lot of damage.
Yeah, I mean, the fact he's just got 7 toughness is 7 damage that's not going into your face.
Oh, looks
before
like
you
he
count
is
the
going to
boom
take it
points.
out. Wait.
He kind of has to.
Wow, but I mean that's 7. It's so painful, right? You're a face
Yeah.
shot. That's damage not going to the face. So
Well,
RayAllen
you've got
can.
a face hunter that just healed for 7.
Wow,
That's
I'm
kind of
actually
how this
surprised he
works.
played this King's Elec so quickly. I guess it's very likely that he draws something that he can play right now. Speaking of which, I wonder if he does play that high main right now. And we do have basically definitively our answer what kind of deck
Yeah.
this is.
You want to save the Lotheb for a turn after your opponent has any cards at all. So
Right.
literally, like, beautiful with his ancestral knowledge being in hand. He's just not going to have to play Lotheb at all, other than as a 5/5 probably. But now next turn he can just play the Lotheb now if the 2 cards are in hand, just to
Right.
slow the Shaman down one more turn.
I just figured with 1 card in hand, I mean, it could be Ancestral Knowledge, especially because, LiBo is holding on to it for a while, and the fact that RayAllen immediately went for, the King's Elec, rather than just going for Bow plus Lotheb, when you can always go for Elec later. Maybe it's a bit of nerves, maybe RayAllen realizing that he's on the cusp of victory here, but might not matter in the end. Looks like we're having a bit of connection issues with the stream at a very bad time, unfortunately. We thought that was Hunter's Mark if you did miss it, so going to be a kill on one of these Feral Spirits. Basically the only thing with health left. I'm going to go to the stream and try to...
So he's got 6 points from the bow to come and 4 points from 2 sets of hero powers. That's 10. He needs to find 9 damage from somewhere else. So he won't use the hero power the first time. He'll develop the Lotheb, and that will give him 2-turn lethal versus just 3. And it looks like he either won that or they had the problems as well.
Yeah, basically RayAllen played the Lotheb, and LiBo draws into Ancestral Knowledge, and
Wow.
that's it.
Yeah,
So
there was a lot
RayAllen
of
coming
damage.
back.
So apologies for not being able to catch the end of that, but we saw the beginning of the end as RayAllen was playing his turn. That means that RayAllen completes the comeback down from 2-1, and he will advance to the round of 8. And he will play the winner of our upcoming match between Woo Woo and Lovely Chook. Let's just go over that last play one more time. So he picked up the 100th mark. And was able to obviously kill 2 of the things there. And maybe he might have even used his face, because that guarantees 6 damage to the face of the opponent with that high main. And then from there you can play the Lotheb. I believe that LiBo was either the high teens or the low 20s, so that 6 damage was a really big deal. And then from there, he might have been actually facing lethal on board. And nothing to do other than the ancestral knowledge, obviously, and I think that lava shock as well. So, just to spell that out for you, if you can visualize in the head,